Hello, everyone. I'm back to tell a story about the M6 Scout and the hog hunt. So, about 25, 26 years ago, I got this M6 Scout from the pawn shop. The Springfield Armory M6 Scout. It's a 22 410 over under. And I had got on Cheaper Than Dirt, I think, or Sportsman Guide, something like that, and found some slugs that were called 41070s. And I believe they were made by a company called Silver Bear or something like that. I don't know. I'll put a picture of them up right over here. All right. So, anyways, hog hunting had got pretty big in Missouri at that time. It actually had just kind of started, right? There wasn't no regulations or nothing. It was wide open, just go kill them. So I got this bright idea. I'm going to take this M6 Scout and go kill a hog. Now, I know, I know, not the kind of firearm you'd want to use to go hog hunting with, unless it was actually a survival situation. Well, that's what I was trying to figure out, right? Like, if this was supposed to be a survival gun, I should be able to kill a hog with it. 410 slugs, 3 inch. I should be able to do it. So I decided to do a little scout and figure out where some hogs were at, close to where I was living at the time. There happened to be a lake just north of me, a big lake, and had some Corps of Engineer land around it. And I say had because it could be sold now. It might not be Corps land anymore. But anyways, Corps land, Corps of Engineer land is open to the public for hunting, fishing, camping, whatever. So I heard a rumor about these hogs at this one particular spot. So I told a buddy of mine, let's go hunt these hogs. He was on board. So we went. Well, I'd used Google Earth to look at this area first and some topographic maps I had on my Garmin Rhino. And I marked some spots on there, just to see if maybe those would be good spots to look at when I got out there. So, anyways, we get out there and there's basically a parking lot, little parking lot, and on the map you could see there's a road which is gated. Only government officials can go past this gate. So you can't drive your vehicle onto Corps land, but you can walk out there. They got a parking lot, okay? But government officials can open this gate and drive back there. So there are roads going through this land, Corps land. Well, you can see where the road goes through the land. There's this little pond, and it was little. I mean, not much bigger than a big mud hole, you know what I mean? But you could see it was a pond on the maps. And it was surrounded by a cedar thicket, just full of briars. And I mean, it was thick. I thought, man, I bet there might be some pigs hiding in there, but it's pretty close to the parking lot, you know what I mean? So at first I was like, nah, I ain't going in there. Pretty thick, a little sketchy. So me and my buddy, we walked past around it on this road. We're pretty much just staying on the road. We get, I don't know, 50 yards or so past where this pond would be in the woods off to my left, because the road, okay, road goes north from south to north. So we're walking north. Off to the west is the pond. Well, this sow pig comes running out of this real high grass. Couple little piglets right on her tail. Boom, straight across the road into the woods on the the east side of the road, which about 75 yards into that edge of the woods was a fence with private property. So we didn't pursue that. We figured they ran straight into that guy's field and took off. So we just kept walking, walking. Well, the road splits, and my buddy, he's like, I'm gonna go this way. More would have been northeast, and I stayed on the north trail, which eventually turned. That road turned almost straight west eventually, which I didn't get that far. So, anyways, I'm walking along, just, taking it in, listening, trying to see if I can hear some pigs snorting or whatever. First time I've been hog hunting, too. First time, okay? So, first time I've been hog hunting, first time with a gun that probably isn't going to get the job done, but we're going to check. And first time for my buddy, too, right? So, we're new to this. And so, we're looking for these pigs, and I see something off to my right in the woods. I'm like, what the heck? What is that? I'm like, pig, right? So I get ready. I spin around with my gun or my rifle, whatever. I don't know. I don't know what to call it on YouTube. Anyways, so I spin, I look, and it's a hound dog. And I'm like, what? Why is there a hound dog out here? So I start talking to this dog, and it acts kind of sketchy, like it don't really want to come out, but it's panting hard, man. It's breathing hard. Its tongue's hanging out. I can tell it's thirsty. So I get my water bottle out and I'm like, come here, and I pour some water in my hand. And sure enough, it comes out there. And so I water this dog. I took my hat off. I filled my hat up with water, and it held enough water long enough for this dog to get a pretty good drink. Well, it's got a collar on. It's a GPS collar. It's a tracking collar. So I knew somebody else was out there hunting, probably hog hunting. And at the time, there was people hog hunting on horseback with dogs, but they wasn't killing the hogs. They was just catching them, live catching them, putting them in horse trailers, and then taking them to other places in the state, cutting them loose. Okay, so that became an issue eventually, right? Well, anyways, that's later on in the story. So I see this dog, and it's a female dog, and I give her the water. She's all cool. She's all wanting to hang out with me. So I'm like, well, come on, you're the hog hunter. Go find a hog for me. And I'm talking to this dog like it's mine. I didn't know what else to do. So me and this dog, we're walking down the road, and then, man, we didn't walk 5 minutes. Here come another one, looked just like this one, stepping out of the woods. Now, this one was a male, and he didn't act too nice at first. You know what I mean? When he come out of the woods, he was growling at me. I was like, "Hey, calm down, buddy. I'm with your friends, probably your sister from the looks of it." So I start talking to this male dog, and then also give him some water, which he wasn't too sure about at first, but I think because the female dog was acting so kosher, he decided, must be okay. So he drank the water, and then he was good, right? Now, you guys got to remember, I'm not 20 minutes, 30 minutes into this whole deal since we've got out of the car. Okay. 30 minutes, I'm guessing max 30 minutes. I can still almost see the car from where I have encountered these dogs. Okay. No kidding. Now I've got two dogs, collars, GPS collars. They look the same. They're the same breed of hunting dog, some kind of coon hound or maybe coyote hound. I don't know exactly what they were, but they were definitely the same breed and they knew what the heck they was doing. So I decide I'm going to follow the dogs. I'm going to use these dogs to hunt while I'm out here, right? I mean, finders keepers. That's the way I'm looking at it. I'm not taking the dogs, but if these dogs get on something, I'm following them. You know what I mean? I'm right behind them like white on rice. I'm sticking to them. So me and these dogs, we go walking down the trail. Well, road. It's a path road, and uh, the male dog he pops his head up and he's sniffing. And I coon hunted a lot growing up. We did a lot of dog hunting, coyotes, coons, things like that. So I knew this dog had hit something. He was hitting on something. And he's sniffing. And then he looks directly back at that little pond by the parking lot. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. And he's looking at me. And then he'd look back at that pond. And he'd look back at me. And he'd look at that pond. And finally I said, well, if there's hogs, go get them. Man, I ain't kidding. I got goosebumps. I ain't kidding. That dog took off, right? And as soon as he took off, the female took off right behind him. I was like, oh man, here we go. So I grab a hold of my gun real tight and I take off after him, man. We're running. And it's a field, okay, so we're not on the road no more. The dogs don't care about the road. They beelined it straight line to that pond. And well, it's a pretty growed up big old field, hay field, with sticker bushes here and there. It's not like they cut hay. So we take off running. I don't hear nothing for a minute. They're just in the woods. They beat me. They're there. Then I hear the male dog. Burr, burr. He starts baying off. I'm like, oh man, they got something back in there. And then the female, burr, burr, she's baying off. And I'm like, oh man. So I'm running. And while I'm running through all this, I can see this thicket coming up in front of me. You know what I mean? I see it. I'm thinking, man, I got to get through that. But I ain't stopping because I want to get there before they run this hog out of there, right? And I'm hoping they got it bayed up. The way they're barking and nothing's moving, I assume it's bayed up, right? They got this hog pinned in somewhere, so I'll be able to get if I keep going, I'll get there. So I'm running, man. I come up on the briars, and I'm like, and I just grit my teeth and I start running through the briars. Man, they're chewing me up. It was tearing me up. And there's an old barbed wire fence. Oh man, I hate fences. But there's this old barbed wire fence, and I don't know how I seen it. I think it had to have been the old fence post. Just stood out like a sore thumb. You know what I mean? Old dead fence post standing up. And so, right when I seen that fence post, I'm thinking jump. So I just jumped. Well, I cleared this barbed wire fence by inches. I cleared it. Laying on the other side, right in the briar bushes again and locust trees. I don't know if you guys know what a locust tree is. Some of you probably do. Most of you. Some of you probably don't. They're the trees that grow with the big thorns on them everywhere. And a certain time of the year, those thorns are toxic. Okay. Well, luckily I didn't get stabbed by any of them. But they were there. It was sketchy. I dodged them. I see the dogs. So I'm coming up on the dogs. It's a pond. It's a little pond. Like I said earlier, it's small. And it's just surrounded by cedar trees and some kind of bushes. I'm not sure what they was. Till today I'm not sure. But they were everywhere all around this pond. And the high bank on this pond, you could see this big waller just right below that bank. You know what I mean? It was huge. And I'm picking all this up while I'm still running at these dogs. I've kind of stopped running though. Now I'm more just trying to get in position to find out what's going on, see what's going on. I see the waller, I see the pond bank, I see the dogs are barking up in the cedar tree. I look around the pond, there's nothing going on over here. I look back, and here comes more dogs. And I'm like, right where we come from, right? I turn around and look, right where I jumped over the fence, 4 or 5 more dogs come, and they're all, "Bark, bark, bark." Now, the thing is, these other dogs were not the same kind of dogs that I had in front of me. These dogs were like cur dogs and mutts, and there was a blue heeler. You know what I mean? There was a Great Pyrenees cross with the Saint Bernard. That dog was sketchy. That dog tried to get me. Okay, but so, anyways, so all these dogs come in. Well, the catch dogs come in. And I don't know if you guys know what a catch dog is. Okay, catch dog is a dog that's a big, vicious, bad dog. He's tough, he's heavy, and he will grab the hog and hold that hog by its nose until the hunter shows up to kill the hog. Now, there's a lot of guys in this state that use these catch dogs, and then they'll go in with long bowie knives or spears, and they actually stab these pigs to kill them because they don't want to shoot the pig for fear of shooting one of their dogs, right? So, plus, I could imagine that would make it rather exciting coming in, and I've never done it. Don't ever plan on it unless I have to. Okay, so anyways, these dogs, they all get on this hog, and this catch dog comes in, which is this Saint Bernard cross Great Pyrenees. This thing was a giant of a dog. And he runs in to grab this hog. He grabbed it, and hey, this hog, this was a Boar hog. He was huge, huge. So he grabs the hog. The other dogs kind of step back once he gets a hold of the hog, and the fight is on, right? And I got like a man, I was 15 feet from this whole thing breaking loose. I mean, I was right on it. These dogs are all, rrr, rrr. And I mean, it was intense, man. And so I got my M6 Scout, and I'm checking it, making sure I'm on the right barrel and all that. I got it on the 410, and it's loaded, and I don't have it cocked yet, but I'm ready to go. Safety's off. And now you gotta remember this also. The M6 Scout was buried, guys. No scope, no knife, no nothing. Just plain Jane M6 Scout. I had however many rounds of 22 and 4 slugs. Oh man, did a lot of did a lot of crazy stuff when I was young. So, anyways, and there's no trees I can get away from this hog. That's one of the things I was looking around for. I'm thinking, so if I shoot this hog, because I've heard a lot of stories about once you shoot them, if you don't kill them, they attack, right? They'll come after you. So I'm thinking, if this scout don't do it, I got to get up a tree till I can get this thing reloaded. You know what I mean? And shoot from above, kind of a deal. Sniper position. But anyways, no trees, no trees for me to jump into. Just these bushes. Maybe that's why I can remember them too, because I thought, man, I'll just have to hide behind, just dodge behind these bushes. So I'm working out this plan. This dog's attacking this hog. I mean, all heck is broke loose, man. I mean, this hog, he's really giving her the dogs, catch dogs, man, he's tearing them up. I'm like, gosh, dang, this is intense. So I get my gun ready, and I don't want to shoot this guy's dog. So I think, what do I do? How am I going to do this? So I just holler at the dog. What you gonna do? So I'm like, that's enough. That's enough. I didn't know what to say. So I was like, that's enough. That's enough. That dog let go of that hog, and he turned and looked at me. Man, I pulled my scout up, said, boom. I hit that hog with that 410 slug. That hog said, reared up. I'm not kidding, man. This thing rears up and spins a big circle. Whole time he's grunting. I can't do hog sounds, but anyways, he's making a racket. He's spinning, and so as soon as I shoot, it's a single shot, so I gotta unload it and get another 410 shell in there. So I pop it open. I go to put another 410 shell in there, and I look around. All the dogs are gone. All the dogs are gun shy. I was like, oh no. Now I don't even have a dog to get between me and this hog. You know what I mean? So I abandon the 410 reload. Click. I pull the firing hammer on the scout up to 22. Click, click. I cock the hammer. The hog's standing there on the bank staring at me. Right? I've hit it. I hit it with this slug. I'm not sure exactly where I hit it because all this happened really fast. But I know I hit it because of the way it acted after I shot. So I pull the 22 up and I aim right for the dome because I'm thinking that's the best spot for this 22 is through the eye or through the ear. You know what I mean? And so I'm shooting for the ear and I shoot, pow! And this hog, he does it again. Rears up, me spinning in circles. And I mean, he's just really making a bunch of noise. Well, now I see the dogs coming back. And I'm like, hey, I'm hollering at these dogs. I'm like, hey, come get this hog. Come get this hog. So the hounds do. The hounds jump the fence. They come, they get back on the hog. As soon as they approach the hog comes running right at me. I'm like, oh crap. Here comes that Pyrenees Saint Bernard. I mean, the timing couldn't have been any better. Okay. This guy, the hounds are on the hog. The hog turns. He's headed straight towards me. This guy says, boom. And I mean, T-bones that hog, right? Boom, hits that hog. That hog turns, doesn't even care about that dog. He turns and heads straight towards the parking lot. Them two hounds and now 3 or 4 of them other cur dogs and that healer takes off after the hog. Arr, arr, arr. And I hear them. They head towards the parking lot, but then they circle back around on that path, that road. They head straight back towards the lake. Well, I look down, and there's that St. Bernard Pyrenees. He's just standing there staring at me. My gun is empty. So I'm like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, big guy? You know what I mean? So it was a standoff. And I'm like, shoot. So I'm trying to reload my gun without making any quick movements, because this guy's just staring at me. He's growling. Like all of a sudden I became the target. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, that ain't cool. So I was like, hey, I just yelled at him. I said, hey, get after that hog. Get out of here. Go on. Get after that hog. Man, he takes off running a little bit. Well, as soon as he takes off running, man, I pop open the back of that scout. I get a 22 shell. Blink. I reload my rifle. This dog only runs about 10, 15 yards maybe, and he stops and turns around and says, starts growling at me again. I said, get on out of here. Get on. Get. I shot that 22 up in the air. Man, that dog tucked tail and he was gone. You know what I mean? That was enough. That scared him. But so he took off. I heard him. he caught up with them other dogs. They were still running that hog. I could hear them still running that hog. Well, now this hog's hurt. You know, I've shot him twice, and I don't know how bad he's hurt, but he's hurt and he's bleeding. So I get my gun in order. I I get around the pond. I find the trail. All I had to do was walk to the road. Blood's going right down the road. I start tracking. I get on my two-way. I let my buddy know, hey, found these hunting dogs. Just shot a hog. Can you hear the dogs? I'm following them. He radios back. Yeah, I hear them. I said, well, let's follow them because they're chasing the hog I shot. He's like, all right, I'm on it. So we take off. We're trying to follow these dogs following this hog. And I realized I know where they're going. That hog's running plumb to the other side of this core property where there's a power line, and then there's a big farm over there. And this hog can get away, right? So I was like, I told my buddy, I was like, hey, let's head back to the car, get on the highway, drive back around to where this power line is. There's a road goes right down the power line, comes right into the core land, excuse me, where we were hunting, and there's a parking lot back there. So maybe we can go back there, park, get out, listen for dogs, and cut this hog off if he comes through there. Because it sounded to me like that's where they was headed. So he's like, right on. So we book it back to the car, double time. We get in the car, we swing around, get to the road, come in, blah, blah, get back to the parking lot. When we get back to the parking lot, it was a heck of a scene. There was horse trailers and dogs and guys on horses and gals on horses, and I mean, it looked like they was having a horse ride back there. Some kind of trail ride was fixing to kick off, right? So I told my buddy, I'm like, I hope this ain't their dogs. You know what I mean? Because we done spoiled their whole trip. You know what I mean? We done runt it. So I get out of the car. I'm like, man, I got to go talk to these people, you know, find out what's going on, you know, see if that's their dogs. And now I've shot a hog and their dogs are chasing it. And, you know, I get out and dude comes riding up on me on his horse. You know, he comes up. He's like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, oh, pretty good. I was just wondering if you guys were out here with hunting dogs, you know, because I found a couple over on the other side of the core land here. And I shot a hog and they're on it. And he said, well, he said, that is our dogs. He said, that is bugging me right there. So he said, I'm surprised they didn't bite you. I said, what do you mean? He said, man, them dogs are mean. He said, there's only a couple people that are here that can even handle them dogs. They bite everybody else. I said, well, none of them tried to bite me, but they did bay up a hog. I shot the hog and they took off after it. And I was wondering, you know, if they run that hog by here. He said, yeah, we have it. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, they ran that hog straight back to us. We have it. And he's like, was it that dog? And I look over and sure enough, there's that Pyrenees Bernard cross. There's the two hound dogs, the healer and the other cur dogs. I said, man, that was all them right there. And that old Saint Bernard Pyrenees cross, man, he's covered in blood. He, I think they ended up like catching it, and then the guys on the horses caught it. You know what I mean? But anyways, so I asked them what was going on because they're like, "You want the hog back?" You know. And I told them about the gun and showed them the gun. I was like, you know, well, what are you guys doing? And they're like, well, we're catching them and relocating them. Which back then it wasn't really like, it was kind of frowned on, but there wasn't illegal. There wasn't nothing illegal about it. You know what I mean? So I didn't care. I don't care. I'm not a snitch anyways. So, anyways, they they're like, we're gonna catch them, release them in other places, in the States so we can have good hunting there too, and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, whatever. I was like, well, what are you going to do? You guys want that dead hog? And he's like, well, after we caught it, we all decided maybe we'd just have a big pig roast with the church and this and that. And I'm like, perfect. You know what I mean? That's perfect. Great. If you guys want it, it's yours. I just want to know that the gun will do what it needs to do if I need it to. He said, you probably would have had to track that hog for a little bit. He said, but it would have killed it. He said, that 410 slug put a hole in it like a 45. I was like, right on. Which, I don't know. I didn't get to see it. I saw the hog. I didn't really look for the bullet hole. So I don't know what the bullet hole actually looked like, but that's what he said. Well, back then I was plastering, doing stucco. I was traveling all over the United States. I've hunted in a lot of different states because of that, but and a lot of good hunting stories. But that one there, I'd shot the hog with the M6 Scout, encountered dogs that were supposed to attack me, but they didn't. Uh, got to shoot a hog, didn't actually get to track it and harvest it, but luckily there were some other people there that were able to find it, harvest it, and it went to good use. A whole big old church shindig, you know what I mean? I'm sure they had a big one. Uh, I tried to buy some dogs off that guy. I wanted them two hound dogs real bad, and he wouldn't sell them to me. And I actually had quite a bit of money on me that day. And anyways, I think I could have bought at least one of them if he'd have sold it. I don't know, maybe, but that's the hog hunting story with the M6 Scout. Um, I never did it again. I never went hog hunting with the Scout again. I did go on several hog hunts later after that. Even some pretty good ones down in Arkansas, bow hunting. I got a couple of decent stories for that one. That was pretty fun. Um, the bobcat right there, M6 Scout. Okay, that's a whole nother story. So if you want me to tell the story about killing the bobcat with my M6 Scout, which I think is almost as good a story. It's not as good as the hog hunt, but it is still a pretty exciting story. Um, it was pretty eventful. Let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe, and remember, don't ever give up. Okay, get out, do something. Go, just go look at the flowers, at the butterflies, whatever. Get out, smell the fresh air, go talk to somebody. Don't never give up. Somebody loves you. Remember that. No matter what, somebody loves you. So keep on keeping on and don't sweat the little stuff.